The clip begins with two hunters recording a herd of elephants they encountered walking peacefully through the African safari. Moments later, the herd notices them, which makes one of the elephants approach as they try to back away slowly.
Rồi. No. Rồi.
Some of the hunters immediately try to scare the animal by firing shots all around, while the cameraman starts running for dear life. Sadly, the video comes to an end rather abruptly, so what happens next appears to be unknown. Set in Dino Keng Game Reserve, this intense clip opens with a huge elephant chasing after a group of tourists in a safari car. Realizing the danger that they are in, the vehicle's driver tries to speed off, but the determined beast also picks up the pace. The clip ends as the elephant retreats into the bushes, leaving the tourists unharmed. What was supposed to be a fun trip to Kruger National Park, South Africa, turned for the worse after a group of tourists were the victims of a horrible elephant attack. This bone-chilling clip shows a blue car leading a convoy attempting to drive past an enormous elephant that is blocking the road, preventing them from moving forward.
Ik neem een video, ik neem nog heel veel video.
Suddenly, the group starts to panic due to the danger of the situation and tries reversing away, but they unfortunately catch sight of the horrors happening ahead. Unfortunately, the clip ends abruptly, and what happens next remains a mystery. The idyllic river safari of Chobe suddenly became hostile after a group of tourists got too close to an elephant, agitating it and triggering an unfortunate turn of events. The video opens with a boat filled with tourists approaching an elephant half submerged in the river as the tourists take pictures and videos of the animal. The boat does not stop drifting towards the animal, eventually getting close enough to the elephant, unsettling and upsetting it, making it do something extremely terrifying. Which adds fuel to the fire, angering the elephant more, leaving it with no choice but to do this. The animal does not pursue the tourists, ending the encounter. This intense clip begins by showing a man screaming at an enormous elephant using a truck as a shield. Despite being gentle giants, elephants can cause serious harm to a person in a snap. After the warning shot, the animal refuses to leave the people alone, and they continue to stand their ground. Thankfully, the situation did not escalate further, and everyone is safe. A supposed graceful and fun parade became the site of a terrifying incident after a group of elephants involved in the parade decided to rebel and crash the event. At the beginning of the video, a group of people can be seen parading around the streets while onlookers record from their houses and on the sidewalks. After a while, the event starts to turn for the worse as people start running away screaming after the giant animals decide to do something extremely horrifying. As if the roars and stomps aren't enough, the crowd begins to panic and scream louder as one of the riders of the elephant suffers their wrath. When this happens, sadly, the clip ends without showing what happens at the end of this terrifying encounter. In South Africa, a tour guide identified as Steve Bailey had a nerve-wracking encounter that nearly went south with a wild African elephant. This intense clip opens with Steve lying on the forest floor, a few feet away from a humongous elephant, and somehow he managed to remain unfazed. As if that was not enough, the brave tour guide turned things up a notch by stretching an arm out in the direction of the magnificent beast. Unsure of how to respond, the wary animal begins to approach the man cautiously while flicking its trunk around. Deciding that the man was not a potential threat, the elephant briefly acknowledges him before turning to walk away in the opposite direction. At the end of the video, Steve and his team celebrate his success. What was supposed to be a normal encounter with an elephant quickly turned horrifying after it decided to ruin these tourists' trip to Kruger National Park. At the beginning of the video, a convoy can be seen trying to get past a giant elephant blocking the road. Moments later, the elephant proceeds to go off the road and into the grass, giving space for the first car to drive off while the others decide to stay. As the animal walks further from the road, the second and third vehicles decide to drive off, thinking that it is already safe to move forward. While driving past the elephant, the unexpected happens after the giant and unpredictable animal decides to do this horrifying thing. Unfortunately, the clip ends prematurely, leaving the status of both the human and elephant unknown. In Thailand, a man had a jaw-dropping encounter with an aggressive elephant that could have cost him his life. This nerve-wracking clip opens with a man standing a few feet away from a massive elephant in order to observe its magnificence. For a few moments, the encounter appears to be going smoothly. However, things take a drastic turn when this happens. The elephant seemingly changes its mind, so the explorer makes it out of the encounter unscathed. Kruger National Park, South Africa. An average safari drive quickly turned into a terrifying experience when these tourists encountered some territorial elephants. This nerve-wracking clip opens up with a group of tourists driving around in a game viewing vehicle in search of the huge animals. After hearing one of the mammal's trumpets in the distance, the driver quickly begins to reverse, all while following the sound. Upon reaching the spot, the explorers spot an elephant in the distance. However, another elephant suddenly emerges from the nearby bushes and steals the show by doing this. Thankfully, the well-trained safari guide is able to avert the impending danger in the nick of time, and the animal wanders back into the bushes. In a rural area, many partygoers were forced to entertain an unusual guest at their pool party. This intense clip starts out with a humongous elephant emerging from the bushes and meaningfully approaching a private pool. Upon reaching the pool, the fearless animal, that appears to be completely unfazed by the pool's occupants, does the unexpected. Too shocked to react, the people in the pool remain frozen in place until the animal has drunk to its satisfaction. Now satisfied, the beast turns around and heads back into the bushes. A group of tourists was left speechless after their tour guide decided to approach and taunt a giant and dangerous elephant. The terrifying clip begins with a man attempting to grab the attention of an elephant standing in the damp grasslands minding its own business. Successfully getting its attention, the animal walks closer to the man, who then proceeds to raise his hands and dance around, despite having a giant animal towering over him. Fortunately for him, despite engaging at first, the elephant decides to walk away. While exploring in Zimbabwe, an explorer and her tour guide saw their lives flash before their eyes when they were charged by an aggressive elephant. At the start of the video, the pair are walking when they spot an elephant up ahead. Intrigued by the magnificent creature, they decide to approach it, but would later come to regret it. At first, all appeared to be fine, and the explorers managed to approach the elephant. However, things took a terrifying turn when the majestic beast spotted them. Quickly, the tour guide swung into action and began to talk the animal down while they both backed away slowly. Sadly, this solution was short-lived, because moments later, the elephant struck again. Luckily for the pair, the elephant turns away at the last minute, leaving them unharmed. An elephant sighting in Nagarholi Tiger Reserve, India, escalated into a terrifying encounter with a massive animal after a driver drives too close to danger. This horror-striking encounter starts with a driver driving toward an elephant peacefully grazing grass, which irritates the animal, making it do something that makes the driver extremely terrified. Trying their best to stay out of reach, the driver hastily drives in reverse, attempting to flee from the angry and aggressive giant in front, chasing the car. Thankfully, the elephant eventually loses interest and leaves him or her alone. Kruger National Park, South Africa. A brave safari guide was forced to face off against a vicious elephant to save the lives of his tourists. This intense clip starts out with an elephant charging right towards an armed man and his group.
Oh, God. Oh.
Rather than shrink away in fear, the brave man raised up his hand and miraculously stopped the elephant in its tracks. In the moments that followed, the two engage in an intense stare-down, with neither of them agreeing to back down. In the end, the elephant gives in and walks away, leaving the guide and his group to continue their adventure. While on tour of a South African safari, YouTuber Elle Holmes thought this was her last day on Earth when she and a group of tourists were chased by a very territorial male elephant. At first, it probably seemed like a very average elephant encounter that wouldn't really amount to anything else. That's until the animal started giving out warning signs that he wouldn't hesitate to charge if the tourists didn't back off.
Yeah. He's being very territorial right now.
Can we just back up?
No, look at him. See, he's showing. He's warning us.
Thankfully, the tour guide gets the message and begins to drive away. Not wanting to lose sight of these intruders, the elephant immediately starts pursuing the Jeep.
Oh, jeez. Oh, no. Oh, no.
Still being chased, the group of tourists understandably starts panicking. Not wanting to risk the animal catching up to them, the tour guide takes a right and goes off-road straight into the plains. This seems to discourage the elephant from continuing the pursuit as he slows down and eventually stops in his tracks.
Let's get out of here. Let's get out of here.
Uh-oh, he's gonna head us off.
Can we get out of here?
No,
I want to go out of here. My heart was racing.
I'd rather not think about what would have happened if that beast had caught up with the Jeep. I really hope those tourists realize how lucky they are. This encounter opens by showing a group of people accompanied by armed men taking pictures and videos of an elephant during a trip to Africa. At first, the group stays far away from the animal, trying to be as cautious as possible. Moments later, the elephant goes off to another place where they decide to follow it and continue observing from up close. At first, the animal doesn't seem to mind them being up close, but moments later, something petrifying transpires.
Come on! Hey! Hey! Come on! Hey! Come on! Get back!
One of the armed men thankfully manages to de-escalate the situation, leaving no one harmed. Kruger National Park, a group of tourists paid the price for venturing a little too close to a herd of elephants. The clip starts out with a herd of elephants emerging from the bushes and walking out onto the road. But when some onlookers get a little too comfortable, things take a horrifying turn. Luckily for the tourists, no one is harmed, and the elephants simply head deeper into the parklands. While taking a drive around Kruger Park, a group of tourists and their tour guide paid the price for provoking a lone elephant. The video opens with the woman behind the camera explaining that the nearby elephant hates the roaring of engines, and so they cannot move their Jeep for fear of being attacked.
This elephant doesn't like the start of an engine, so here he comes after us.
Stay there.
Visibly irritated by the humans, the beast closes up the gap between him and the vehicle and proceeds to break a branch off a nearby tree, thereby frightening the tourists.
Oh my gosh, he's angry.
After a few moments of waiting, the group devises an escape plan, which is to start the Jeep and drive away at top speed. Immediately as the engine starts, the elephant does this. Luckily, the explorers are able to escape the animal safely. A kid became the center of a dangerous and risky meeting after he got dangerously close to an elephant that was towering over him. This terror-striking encounter shows a young kid taking pictures of a large and aggressive elephant in front of him that's trying its best to scare the kid away from its territory. Surprisingly, the kid stands his ground and even steps forward as he continues to take pictures and videos of the majestic yet terrifying animal in front of him. The clip, unfortunately, ends suddenly, and what happens next is unknown. Johannesburg National Park. A group of tourists and their safari guide had a dangerously close call with a dangerous elephant, and the outcome is terrifying. The clip starts out with the explorers and their tour guides calmly observing a giraffe in the distance from the safety of their bus. Out of nowhere, though, an elephant emerges from the bushes, and after taking an interest in the tour bus, the animal makes a beeline for it.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
Please don't remain seated, remain seated.
On reaching the vehicle, the humongous mammal starts circling it, walking from one end to the other and sizing up the tourists. Moments later, the elephant decides that it has had enough and starts to walk away. However, in a surprising turn of events, the beast returns and does this. Noticing that things are getting out of hand, the bus driver immediately moves the vehicle, abruptly ending the encounter. This unusual encounter begins with an elephant and her human companion making their way to what appears to be a residential property. Seemingly excited to see the magnificent beast, one of the home's occupants opens the door and lets in the unusual pair. Immediately the gate opens, the elephant heads for the front door, proving that she is in a familiar environment. Inside the house, the family gathers around the calm elephant and the unexpected happens. Once the beast is well fed, the family members do the unthinkable and get even closer to begin petting it fondly. The clip ends abruptly, however, it is safe to assume that no one was harmed. A group of vacationers were shocked to witness their pool suddenly become a water fountain for this huge herd of elephants. At the start of the video, we see a few people enjoying the sunny day outdoors and observing the animals from a distance, clueless about their intentions. Upon getting closer, the herd of mammals take the tourists by surprise when they surround the pool and start doing this. After drinking to their satisfaction, the majestic beasts turn around and walk away, leaving all the onlookers thankfully unharmed. A trip to Jim Corbett National Park quickly escalated for the worse after a group of tourists came face to face with an aggressive and dangerous elephant. The beginning of the video shows an elephant walking with its calves, while tourists ride in jeeps, trailing and taking pictures and videos of the small herd.
बच्चे की वजह से तो ज़्यादा हो रहा है। देखो 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 बेटा देखो देखो खड़े हो देखो 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 खड़े हो देखो पीछे लोग
अरे कितने छोटा सा प्यारा सा बच्चा।
At first, the group keeps a safe distance between them and the animals, but one of the jeeps, unfortunately, drives too close for comfort, prompting the creature to do this. Despite the terrifying sight of an enormous animal charging towards them, the group manages to back up far enough for the elephant to stop chasing them. Thankfully, the large animal does not pursue them further and leaves no one harmed. A group of tourists got the experience of a lifetime after they were greeted by an aggressive and angry elephant during a trip to Serengeti in northern Tanzania, Africa. This clip begins with a group of tourists riding a jeep, getting up close to a herd of enormous elephants, attempting to get to the other side of the road.
No, don't be scared. Stay right here. Awesome.
Unable to keep up with the herd, an enormous male bull does this after its path is blocked by the tourist, making it unable to catch up with its herd.
These two here still want a piece of each other.
The towering bull attempts to scare the tourists multiple times, but to no avail, making him angrier and more aggressive as he tries to charge again and again. In an attempt to calm the aggressive, raging animal, the tourists decide to drive far away from the spot as the huge animal keeps chasing them despite their efforts. Thankfully, it loses interest and stops chasing the tourists, leaving no one harmed. Here, two safari trucks filled with tourists get a little bit too up close and personal with a huge African elephant that could have easily caused a scene. Initially, the animal seems to be chewing on a tree about 40 feet away. Surely enough, it quickly spots the two trucks and decides to come get a closer look. As the animal gets closer, the tour guide attempts to drive away to protect himself and the tourists he's responsible for. Unfortunately, the truck in front of them seems to be blocking the road, thus preventing them from escaping. The people on the truck immediately duck to prevent making eye contact with this humongous beast, as it could very easily provoke it.
Oh, he's coming towards us. Sit down.
Sit down.
He's very close.
The elephant hangs out around the truck for a few minutes while the tourists remain completely frozen in fear. Eventually, most likely trying to show off its power, the animal even swings its tusks at a nearby tree, crushing every piece of it. It looks down on the terrified tourists for a little longer, before finally moving on and walking away in pride. The tourists, all still in shock, remain completely frozen. Nobody on that truck could have stood a chance against those pointy tusks. They should all be incredibly grateful that that elephant decided to spare them on that day. In the Kerala jungle, a newly wedded couple received a horrifying wedding gift from an angry elephant. While exploring the jungle, the two lovebirds dared to approach a wild elephant for pictures, and this intense clip shows the aftermath. When the video starts, the unfortunate couple are fresh out of the attack and are lying on the grass a few feet away from the now approaching elephant. Noticing the impending danger, the people in the vicinity start doing their best to distract the beast, and they manage to do so long enough for the couple to escape. Outraged, the elephant charges towards the crowd, and they all take to their heels. While on an average afternoon walk, a group of campers in South Africa were in serious danger when they were charged by an aggressive bull elephant who didn't seem to enjoy having visitors in its territory. At first, it seemed like nothing else but an ordinary elephant encounter. The animal kept its distance from the group, which allowed them to grab a few pictures of it. It doesn't take long before the beast decides to put its foot down and defend its territory. It bluff charges the campers a first time to see if they would back off, but they do not. After a few seconds, it bluff charges them again while letting out a terrifying scream. Feeling like it's proved its point, the elephant decides to turn around and walk away, leaving everybody there in complete shock and disbelief. I doubt that gun would have done enough to stop that charging beast. I feel like most people would have run away in that situation. What would you have done? A fun trip on a safari became extremely terrifying after a safari vehicle filled with tourists came face to face with a herd of elephants. This encounter starts off intensely as the video shows a large herd of elephants running towards a jeep, leaving the passengers terrified and concerned. The driver, surprisingly, remains calm and maneuvers through the dirt road carefully despite the herd of towering elephants running towards the group. Fortunately, the elephants stop chasing the group after they get far enough away. This frightening clip starts off with a man recording a huge elephant investigating a group of tourists trying to pass by on the dirt road. The group try their best to sit still and remain calm to avoid angering or surprising the large animal walking around them. The encounter remains controlled so far, but the tourists remain calm in order to avoid escalating the situation further. Woefully, what happens next is unknown, since the clip ends prematurely.